Here we go. Go.
Thank you for taking the time to interview me and watch me ride today. My name is Amy. I am 31 years old. I graduated from Chaparral. I like to ride horses, hang out with my friends, work on the computer, and watch TV. I have a dog named Moose. Thank you for taking the time to interview me and watch me ride today. My name is Amy. I am 31 years old. I graduated from Oops, I didn't mean to say that. I talk on my iPad with an app called Touch Chat. I like the iPad because everyone has one. To get the horse moving, I make a vocalization to signal, walk on. I have been doing therapeutic horseback riding since I was 22 months old. I have been at Promise Ranch for about 6 years. I really like it here. I have known Carol, my teacher, since I started riding. She cares so much about me and my body. Mike, Kathy, and Asako are my favorite volunteers. I always like to show off for new volunteers. After every riding session, I love to just be in my wheelchair and spend quiet time with my horse. We look into each other's eyes and we breathe together. We are silently telling each other, I love you. Horseback riding makes me independent and feel confident. Everybody is amazed when they watch me ride. I love when my side walkers and lead walker step away and I'm steering my horse independently. Horseback riding makes me independent and feel confident. Everybody is amazed when they watch me ride. Horseback riding makes me independent and feel confident. Everybody is amazed when they watch me ride. Oops, I didn't mean to say that.
You did. Okay, yeah. What kind of changes have you seen in your daughter over the years?
Well, Amy's been riding since she was 22 months old and she's now 31. So we watched her as an infant balance on a large animal over the years, and she loves to ride. It gives her confidence. Being on a horse for someone who can't walk creates a natural gait for the rider, and that's what Amy feels when she rides. She's excited every day that she comes out here. That's her favorite thing to do, and she rides every Monday.
How did you find Promise Ranch?
Promise Ranch, the original site was about 5 minutes from our back door, and we saw a sign there one day and knocked on the door and got her involved.
So would you recommend Promise Ranch for almost anyone with some difficulties?
Absolutely. Promise Ranch, everybody rides. That's the thing about Promise Ranch. So if you can show up and get yourself here, we'll make sure that you ride.
So are you a volunteer also?
I am. I'm a registered volunteer at the ranch.
So what do you do as far as volunteering?
Mostly I work with my own daughter, and my job is to help her get on the horse from her wheelchair and then get out of the way so that she can pay attention to her riding instructor.
So how would you rate her instructors?
Oh, 10, absolutely 10. And I've known her main instructor since Amy was a little girl.
And well, what makes a good instructor?
Well, in Amy's case, it's someone who can communicate with someone who's nonverbal, and have the patience to make sure that she can understand the cues, position her body correctly, get her form correctly, and adapt to the situation.
Okay, and have you had the same horse for a long time?
Well, Cinnamon's new in our life. Amy's been riding Cinnamon for about 4 months, and prior to that she rode a horse named Nikki, who is getting up there in years, so right now she's sidelined to anybody under 70, and I don't want to give anything away, but Amy's a little over 70 pounds.
Oh, okay.
Pounds.
So, what other questions? So I think that's probably all we need.
I'd like to speak to one thing, just
Okay.
that comes to mind. In the video, you would have seen Amy and Cinnamon nuzzle together. And that's a meditation that they do after riding every week. And then Amy started that with her other horse, Nikki. And it's a very spiritual thing. And they communicate together. And her horse instructor actually can feel the emotion. And Amy feels it too.
Well, good. I think we have it, and what I'll do is,
All right, let's give a big round of applause for Amy and Cinnamon.
Jacob Angel, or Tyler Angel.
Coming up next, we have Tyler running on Angel.
It's getting smoke over there.
Do you see Tyler? You're next. Ready? Ready to get up? Was she good? Right, strip off. Yeah. Cinnamon, that was a job. Yeah.
And then at the south end of the ocean, we have Jacob who's going to be ready east.
You see how fast she got.
Let's give a round of applause for Tyler and Angel.
He gets wound up. She said she was sick.
Well, I might get wound up, but I can keep it together. Let's see here.
Whoa, that's sensitive.
You get a seatbelt on when she's in position. And then she can turn the chair on. And then it's the third.
Okay.
All right, big round of applause for Jacob. As we're waiting for our next rider, let's not forget our riding instructors, Sharon, Shannon, and Tara, and all our volunteers.
Stop calling us black.
Sharon, Shannon, and
Oh yeah, I was like, we're looking. So what was it? The ring race. And it's 2 rings, right? Yeah. This is this one. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. That's right there. Let's get your feet out of the chair until we're in 3. Okay. So go ahead, here you go. Walk on. Should we go do the rings?
Here, Blair.
We have video recording. We can be on candid camera. Also,
excuse me.
Margie would. He's working, Amy. But it was like half done and half not done.
Not all.
So.
Yes.
3, 2, 3, 4. Good. Now switch to your right hand. Right hand. Good. There you go. Switch to your right. Over to the soccer. Nice job. Right. Good job. Okay. Good. Switch to your right. Okay, look at this. Put this big breath. Good. Okay. Here you go. Switch to the right. Nice job. Nice job. Bronco orange. We have some cinnamon. Good. Switch to the right. Who's yellow for? Yes. He's not paying attention. Left hand. Switch to your right. Oh. Right hand. Right. Yeah, you gotta relax. Look at Mrs. Hunter. There you go. Great. Yes. Nice job. Breath. We can see your face. We can see you. We can see you. Let's try. Let's try right hand to start. Okay. All right. Let me get you in position. Okay. Actually move this back to the side. Okay, you ready? Relax that. Hand forward. To the left. Good job. Thumb on top. Nice job. Back. What happens when you pull back? What is she doing? She's stopping. Good job. Nope. You want to stop?
Okay. I'm gonna stop.
Okay, you want to smile at the camera. I
She
think.
wanted to stop
Okay.
for a photo op.
All right. And push. Okay, now left turn. Right.
That shot didn't work.
That was a lot. Okay, let's go straight ahead then. And then in the other direction. Straight ahead, to the left. There you go. See the letter M? Let's go toward the M. You're gonna go left. Yes. Uh-oh, what happened? Uh-oh, what happened? Can we back up? Say back. Hold. Good. Hold in. Okay, hard left. Nice. Now right. Right. That a girl? Straight ahead. Amy, thumb on top. Hi, Mama. There we go. Perfect. Mr. Mike is really good at centuries. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Coming down behind you.
Just step. Step back a little bit. I'm sorry.
My big mouth.
Okay.
She under a
We just need to raise it up.
Jack is
Okay.
she under on that side.
Yep.
yeah, he's underarm. Jack is yeah, it's okay. Sorry.
All right. Go out. Good job. Dad's getting to be quite the expert.
Well, now that we figured out to put that seat back,
Yeah. Oh. You got it.
put that out. After that, I can do it.
I'll look at it after. Yeah, and I was like, this is gonna get it. Normally, I take.
I would do it off her head.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
Picture.
There you go. See, if her eyebrows, if she gets wrinkles, that, her eyebrows, then you know it's not.
All
That's
right.
how we would see it. So,
Awesome.
all right, wait, sweetie. You want to take these off, Junior? Palms are at it.
Come on
Good back here,
down.
sweetie. Open it up, full speed.
Don't encourage her. She'll do it for us. She will
I
do it.
know, she's got the same look I get when I'm about to touch it.
Amy's quite the ham. Cinnamon too. Yeah, cinnamon too. Give her a kiss.
That's good.
What's the program? You know, do we start with horsemanship the first time we see them? And now there's 5 of us in our group, so each one of us can take on one, basically veteran 1 or 2. And the new ones come in, the horsemanship, the grooming, the picking the hooves, you know, brushing them down, catching them in the field, and bringing them in and just walking them around a little bit. Second one being some of the other stuff we do with the long pen, all the horsey stuff with how you relate to the horse. And the third one is things like they have the long, they have different things they call them, but just working with the animal, you know, either with the halter or without a halter. And then maybe when we finish up there, we can go to the point where they could actually go on a trail ride. I'd have no interest to go on a trail ride, but you know, the young kids coming through there with their relationship with the horse. And then after that, my thinking was, you know, they can keep on coming because the horse is like a therapeutic animal, like the dogs we had at the airport. And maybe they could help with the kids that, like when Marianne goes out there, she'll go out there Wednesday and before a meeting, and just to be with the kids and help them, either sidewalker or a horse lead. And then they have the occupational or the physical therapist. I don't know what they call them, but wonderful girls and guys. And you know, just work with the kids and seeing these young kids get one quote unquote normal day, normal hour, you know, on a horseback, where you know, a lot of them, the Rotary Club gave about 5 Rotary Clubs got together and gave us that lift. And I've seen them physically take them out of their wheelchair, put them on the horse, and then ride around, and the big smiles on the face, and you know, and that's what it's all about, basically. The stuff with the veterans is, if we can help, and I think where they want some veterans involved is just like our bullshit stories. You know, just so they come out, they're nervous, so that you know, they don't know why they're apprehensive, they don't know, you know, they're not accepted back, all this stuff they're talking about. They're young kids, and when they realize they're talking to somebody else who's been through the same thing, like when Marianne's cousin and I get together, we talk about things that she's never heard about before, because people don't understand when you talk about war, you know, you have to make the real hairy parts funny to be able to put up with them. So when you're talking to somebody that's been there, done that, it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's relaxing. But you can't talk like that to people that haven't been there.
So how does Promise Ranch use horses with veterans?
Well, what the whole thing is, the idea is of a comfort animal. Many times you'll see, we've had 3 or 4 veterans already that came out, and when you're standing there with them and they're just petting the horse, it's one of the most amazing things. And the horses they have there are very good, and they're very well trained for what they do, but the horse will stand there and you can almost see the angst or the whatever that person has, like with Jamie, you know, whatever they're going through, just relax and comforting, and I think the word brought up is that there are silent therapists or non-talking therapists, because they take in all this, and I always get in trouble out there with the girls because I think I grew up with horses when I was in high school. We lived on the ranch in Littleton, and I use horses all the time, but I never thought about relating to the horse. I mean, if I wanted to go riding, I went out, put a halter on the horse, shook the grain of, the can full of grain so they'd come up to you, and then put a halter on them, take them in, saddle them up, put a bridle on, go out riding, and then let them go. I think I brushed them down a little bit, but they talk about how you have to interact, and you can't be too high or too low with the horse. You have to understand it and have the energy level. And I always call it hokey, but after you've seen it work, regardless of what you think it is, if it works for people, you have to accept it. That's when this faith comes in. But I think as far as a veteran, just being around an animal that's that comforting and that doesn't ask you to do anything. It's there for not your enjoyment per se, but it understands. And if when you're rubbing it, petting it, whatever you do with a horse, but I've seen it actually calm people down, make them less fidgety, make them less, whatever you want to call it. So it's hard to describe, but when you see it work, it's just wonderful. And if that can relax somebody and bring them back into where they're not against everybody, or there's an understanding there with the animal, and that, I think it's, and having seen it work with a few of the veterans we've had so far, I just think it's wonderful. And we, as a society, and especially as an older vet, we owe this to our younger group. Anything we can do to help them, we should be trying more and more doing that. So that's what, I think that they do at the Promise Ranch.
Good statement. My son was also a sleep doctor, and he treats a lot of people with PTSD. And I've heard that a horse can help with PTSD. These vets don't sleep.
Yeah. Well, for whatever reason, we had just one of our waiters at the tavern downtown DTC. We got to know him. For some reason, people come up and they say, "Well, are you a veteran?" And I must look crazy like that, but yes. And he went up to St. Mary's Glacier, and he said he had a flashback of Afghanistan, and it really bothered him. And and just the whole thing about, you'll get these flashbacks. You'll see situations that say, "Well, that reminds me of this, and this, and whatever it is like that." And just to have them relax. It's like the sleep therapy. Just have them to be able to relax to go to sleep. When you're in a combat zone, you don't sleep that well. It's the only time I slept well when I was out in the field with the infantry and that, because I knew they were capable of doing things. But when I slept in the rear area, which we got to figure that 70% of the people are in the rear area in a combat zone. And I slept with a loaded gun under my pillow. I don't know. I mean, that's just what you did, and any little noise would wake you up, so you didn't really get a restful night's sleep unless you were out in the woods where your friend or your buddy was on guard and you were able to sleep. But so I think a lot of it is like that, for the veterans that can't relax themselves, they can't bring themselves down to just relax within themselves. They're fidgety, a little bit depressed probably because of the situation, one of these, why did this happen to me, or I was over there and this and that, and that's where I think that the other veterans can help. You can talk to them, you can, all the stories we have when you're in a combat situation, whether it's World War I, World War II, any place, they all have the same thing in common. It's the reaction of the same people, and how you react to things and how you do things, and that's why I think, it's important that we stand up and try to help, any way we can with these young men and young women that are coming back. But I think very similar to any traumatic situation with car accidents. That's why the nurses, poor dears, that have to deal with, the people every day, and then they have a problem. They have to send them back out into the combat zone. And I know a couple of nurses or the doctors that I had known in Vietnam, that it was very difficult for them to, almost we're fixing them up so they can go back out and get shot again. And that weighed on them, and to where they have to sort of let that go. it's hard to describe, but I think it's something that you get a group of veterans together, almost like, well, AA or any group that gets together. You've been through the same thing. You have a little bit of different experiences, but I think they all relate to each other to some extent, to where you may be able to help somebody. Maybe if you don't help them a lot, or they don't change, but it may give them an hour of relaxation that they wouldn't get without the horses around. And the people, what we really enjoy about it, the people you meet out there are somebody that we, in our walk of life, would have never met. And we just feel so honored to be able to meet the people at Promise Ranch, to meet the OTs, the ones that Marianne works with, just wonderful, wonderful people, and how they can work with these poor kids every day and not get depressed themselves. I just, I have to thank them all every time.
Well, after our Sunday interview, I was saying how lucky we are.
Oh, yeah.
That was a tough interview.
Oh, they are. And
The kid had severe autism and biting himself and hitting himself.
well, the occupational therapist had told Marianne, watch out, this young man, he grabs sunglasses. And that sounds good. So they're out on the road, walking around the house as they go. And this young man had grabbed his sunglasses and threw them down on the ground before she even knew they were off her face. And it's not those kids, but one thing too is I get the chance, since I'm not involved with the volunteer part, to sit down and talk with some of the mothers and some of the parents and some of the grandfathers, and just, you pray for them. I mean, just, how to do that. This one young mother and her son that has these problems is getting almost as big as she is. And she was concerned that she may not be able to control him anymore. Because I was asking her about, does he like to have his helmet put on? I don't know if you saw that, some of the reactions some of the kids have. They have real sensitive problems, so he didn't want to put his helmet on. And they work with him, and they finally get the helmet on him, and he's fine after that. But this poor mother, she had a little girl with her who was, maybe not in the same situation, but she's gonna have to deal with this son of hers who's, again, he reacts and it's not his fault, and he can't really control himself per se. And I just have the biggest respect for these parents but they've all told me, they said the kids really enjoy the horses. He looks forward, except for a couple times, he always looks forward to coming into this hour session. And it's just amazing what they do with the horses and what they do with the kids. And that's another thing I think that the veterans will latch on to very quickly, this helping kids. I think there are very few veterans that wouldn't, want to help like that.
When did you get involved at Promise Ranch?
As I said, I don't know how long Marianne's been there. I think a couple of years, maybe 2.5 years. Oh, that's just a little doggy. We were trying to get a veterans program started at Saddle Up. And then I talked to Carol, who's one of the big, the horse whisperer ladies out there. And she said they were trying to get rid of the dog. They say some animals can tell if you're afraid of them. Well, this is the same thing with the horses. They can sense your feelings when you go into it. But dogs particularly, especially, these therapy dogs, they know if you're afraid of them or not. And maybe they respond. I think we've all seen the dogs. We used to take our dog over to the old folks home where my mom was. And it knew something was not normal with this environment. It'd go up and it'd put its, chin on the legs of the people, and just, the sympathy of the animal shows was just tremendous. But no, Marianne got bit when she was younger by a dog and still has a scar on her face, but I have to tell her, you don't get down face to face with an animal. And that's one thing that they always tell us at the ranch. The horse is a horse. It's an animal, so you can do a lot, but you're always careful. And the little donkey kicked Marianne one time, and it was my fault for not getting out of the way, but those two little Jack and Jane were the cutest things in the little burros or the little donkeys. But boy, those things are just wicked. But anyway,
So anyway, so what do you do at the ranch? Are you organizing veterans? Is that it?
what we're trying to do is, we have the cards now, getting out, and I'm going to, once we get some of the brochures and that, I'm going to get them over to the VSO, the Veteran Service Officers. Colorado is he told me that every county has to have a Veteran Service Office. You have to have someone assigned. It could be additional duty, but it has to be assigned as a Veteran Service Officer. And then when I went to the interview with my judge in DC for the video conference, there's a state Veteran Service Officer. And we want to try to get to the people that have contact with the veterans. And we're hoping the best thing is going to be the word of mouth. You know, get one veteran in, have him tell two of his friends, because they still pretty touch. We have some very good contacts at the hospital in Parker that know the people, and, you know, that have some people come in that maybe they have some, you know, but just very few people will not want to, you know, work with big animals. And I saw this work with Emily Griffith had one of these our Rotary Club went to many, many years ago in Larkspur, where there were at-risk youth, and they tried to bring in the horses and the cows and the big animals to help them release some of their anger or their angst or whatever it was like that. But so basically we're trying to get touch as many veterans as we can. We know that we've talked, I think, to this Fort Carson, the people there, but they have their own internal programs that they use. And I think they have horses down at Carson too, one of their groups. But some of our people have worked with that group before, some of our leaders. And you know, if we can get some different groups that'll contact word of mouth to get more veterans, that just come by and see what we do Wednesday night. You know, see, and I think once we show them, and then we're getting a few, and you know, they'll come, and then they'll get busy. They have something else to do. They all have jobs usually, so it's difficult because all the veterans we're mostly retired, the old guys, so we can go anytime. And that's what we're going to say too. If, you know, 6 o'clock doesn't fit your requirements, you know, we can be there anytime, any day. And I'm sure if we give, you know, Promise Ranch enough notice, they'll have a horse or two that we can use, because we know now how to do things. So we don't, you know, we need somebody there that knows about the horses, but we've done everything for, I think we've been doing this about 1.5 years now, where we go in every Wednesday night and we have something to do with the horses. We're always handling the horses. So either that's the primary time that we want to try to get our veterans to come, but if they can't do that, we'd like to have them call us up, and we can, you know, go out there anytime. If we're helping a veteran, you know, we'll be there.
Okay, yeah, sir. Can you think of anything else, Dennis?
You know, just go back to I think the biggest thing is there's a group of veterans, you know, we've all experienced different levels of situations in a combat zone. And I think that is what really draws us towards these people coming back from Iraq and the young ones and from Afghanistan. You know, we may not know exactly what they went through, but then they don't know what we went through. So we can relate on the same, you know, if you've been in a situation where you've been scared. Yeah, all of us have. If you've been in situations where, like Dennis brought up, you wish you hadn't done what you did, but now you're there, so you make the best of it and, you know, try to get out. And also the reliance we had being artillery, you know, people counted us, we had to have rounds on the ground in, you know, 3 minutes. And if the people in front of you know that, there's a little bit of comfort they have of knowing that when they call something, we used to say, we had the problems you were talking about with clearances. We had to get clearances from, you know, the ARVNs, the Popular Forces, the Viet Cong, the North Vietnamese. We had to get everybody clearance to shoot. So we'd tell our guys, when you go out, if you run into trouble, you know, you just tell us it's a contact, which it would be if they got in trouble, and then we can fire with U.S. clearance only. And that was a big problem we had, and I think that's what they're bringing up now. We go into these conflicts and we don't use the full aspect of what the military could provide. Because I was responsible I was in contact with the FAC, the Forward Air Controller for Air Force. I was in contact with, I don't know what the Navy called them, but if I needed to, I could get ships firing, up by Dong Ha up on the DMZ. And I think they can shoot like 25 miles or something like that into the.
Admiral Young's lunch, I talked to a guy who was frontliner destroyer, and they would shoot at the North Vietnamese, and they would shoot back and knock off parts of the ship, and they would fix it and then go back and shoot at each other again.
Yeah, shoot each other. But the superiority we had in firepower. But there again, that's in talking to the guys. Trying to establish a camaraderie to say, we've been there, we've done that. How can we help you? And as I was saying, and we can go on. They can help us with the volunteer work of the horses. They can go on the rides. They can get back comfortable with the horses because a lot of them haven't, had the chance of becoming, been on the horses for a while now.
So do you still ride?
No, not really. I'm a little bit my football knees are catching up to me and my age is catching up to me, and I have to be very careful how I walk. I don't pick my feet up enough now, so I'm more concerned. I don't think I would ever get on a horse. I might, but I wouldn't do it for enjoyment.
I have a neuropathy, and today it's a little worse than it
Yeah.
normally is, and some days I can't even move my ankles,
Yeah.
so it's hard to walk without.
With your veterans group, Tom, have you, for now or into the future, where we talked about PTSD, but how about the future at Promise Ranch for using horses for amputees, for people that have gone through double amputee?
Yeah, we've talked about that too, and the veterans groups, any veteran come in because once they see the people that they treat there, we want to open up that whole thing. We are not saying that we're doing anything therapeutic. We're offering a horsemanship class to get a relationship with a horse, period. I think that going further than that, we just don't have the expertise at this time, and right now, sure, it'd be nice to be able to do it. But I think with that would be another step is, if we get in the veterans and that works out well, then our whole deal was after we decide what the veterans want, what they feel, because they're the best ones to decide what they would like, how they want to interact with the animals.
Older veterans would be different than younger veterans. So can you give me your name?
My name is Cole.
Cole what?
Cole Garrity.
And how old are you?
7.
And where do you go to school?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Do it over again.
Start over.
Okay. Sorry, let me get her outside and then we'll. Okay, stay outside, Haley.
Okay.
Don't come back in.
We'll call you when we're ready, Haley.
Can we do a full one? I'm
Go
tired.
outside, Haley.
Okay. Give me your name again and how
Cole,
old
Cole Garrity, and I'm in 8.
and where do you go to school?
Frontier Valley Elementary School.
And what grade are you in?
3rd.
Third. Now you go to Promise Ranch,
Yes.
and how long have you been going to Promise Ranch?
Two years.
And do you have a horse there?
I used to ride Sky and I ride Angel.
Now, what does the horse do for you? How does the horse make you feel?
Happy.
Can you say, the horse makes me feel happy? Can you say that?
The horse makes me feel happy.
So after you ride the horse, do you feel better also? So how, can you say that in a whole sentence?
That when I get off of a horse, I feel much more happier.
Okay, and does that help your spirit?
Yes.
So how long do you ride at one time?
About an hour.
And what do you do while you're riding?
We do wings. These are wings, and we do trotting, and we do tiny jump, like we walk over poles, and put my hands on my head, and more things.
So are you getting better at riding now?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to progress, like ride more?
Yeah.
Can you say that?
I'm
He
going.
wants you to speak in full sentences, Cole. So even though he's asking you yes or no questions, he wants you to respond with the whole sentence.
Yeah, that's
Does that
good.
make sense? So go ahead and say the whole sentence, because then they can use that on the video and they'll know what you're talking about. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
So what day do you ride?
Thursday. Every single Thursday.
So you would say, I ride on Thursday.
I ride on Thursdays.
So who helps you most with the horse?
Shannon.
Shannon helps me with riding.
Shannon helps me with riding.
Do you look forward to going?
Yep. I look forward to riding.
So what's the best part of riding a horse?
Trotting.
So say the best part of riding a horse.
The best part of riding a horse is trotting.
Are you able to ride the horse by yourself now?
I can't really do that yet.
You can't do it. I can't really
Do it right now.
ride the horse by myself right now.
I can't really ride the horse by myself right now.
And what color is your horse?
Brown. My horse is brown.
And how did you find out about Promise Ranch? Well, that'll be a question for Mom. I'll sit her down in a little while too.
I don't really know that question.
And does that what does the horse do? Does it make you feel better?
It makes me stronger
So how do you know you're getting stronger?
because I can start doing different things. So when I have my braces on, I can stand up. I can kind of squat by myself.
So what do you like in school?
Recess, PE, and
I like.
at school I like recess, PE, and math.
So what are you going to be when you grow up?
When I grow up, I want to be, I'm still thinking about that.
So you plan on continuing to ride horses at Promise Ranch?
I really want to, but next year we're going to move to Iowa.
Where in Iowa?
Avoca.
Dennis is from Iowa.
Oh yeah.
You like Iowa?
I love it. And that's where most of my family lives.
Do they have horses?
My dad's mom has horses.
And are you going to ride there too?
We're going to go there sometimes and ride.
So, let me see what else.
Stronger and you don't fall as much.
Right.
How
I don't know how I want
you
to.
don't fall off chairs very much anymore.
No.
what?
No.
What do you mean no?
I mean, I don't really fall off chairs
Well, that's
anymore.
what you should say in
so
here.
Jerome's
can
gonna ask what
he's
the
gonna
horse
ask you
does.
some more
So
questions
You can
about
tell
the
him
horse.
about your core and your legs, so
You
he'll
can
ask
say
you a
that your
question now.
abs are getting strong. Remember how you always tell Miss Shannon you want a six-pack?
So
Say that too.
how does the horse riding make you stronger?
And because I don't really fall off too much because of all the core strength what it's giving me in my body.
And you can stand now with braces on?
Yes, I can like squat.
You do that after riding a horse?
No,
You can say how you feel after you get off the horse. You can say that it makes you tired.
it makes me tired.
After I get done riding.
After I get done riding, it makes me very tired.
And is that good for you?
It means that I'm getting stronger. My core body's getting stronger. My six packs are growing.
Mine too.
So that was cute. That's probably my quote I'll pull on to the brochure. Okay, can you think of anything else?
No, I think Cole did a very good job. Mom can answer a couple questions, but Cole was a rock star.
You did a very good job.
Rock star, yes.
I'm going to, can we start that over?
Yeah, sure. The state of Colorado is very friendly to special needs families. So after we moved here, some of our resources at Children's Hospital of Colorado told us about the great benefits that Medicaid can provide. And so Cole is on a Medicaid waiver, and he is allotted some nursing hours. And so I actually went to school and got my degree and certification, and I'm his certified nursing aide.
So you're going to take on other children?
I am just going to be Cole's CNA. That's enough.
So how did you find out about Promise Ranch?
I found out about Promise Ranch in just doing some research on hippotherapy that was available in the area, and I stumbled across them. I think I might have even saw a flyer somewhere, and so I called, and Sharon answered herself, and I got to speak with Sharon, and she helped us to get Cole set up.
And when was this?
I contacted Sharon, I think it was 2 summers ago, in 2015.
And what kind of improvement have you seen in Cole since he started the program?
Since Cole started riding at Promise Ranch, I have seen his strength increase. I've seen his confidence grow, and I just think it's been wonderful for him in every way.
So when you move back to Iowa, will you be able to continue this program?
When we move to Iowa next year, after my husband retires from 20 years in the Marine Corps, I really hope that we can find another ranch that Cole can ride at. However, I've also already prepared myself. It might be hard to match what Promise Ranch has going.
So are you learning anything that you could help Cole if you have a horse or more, one or more horses?
I have been helping as one of Cole's sidewalkers during his sessions, so I have definitely learned a lot from the Promise Ranch personnel.
And when does he do his riding?
Cole rides every Thursday night from 4:45 to 5:45. That has been really great for our family because he doesn't have to miss school, and he gets to enjoy riding, and we're home in time for supper.
So when I put the video together, I'll go out and get some B-roll of him riding then.
Okay, that's great.
I mean, that's to fill in the gap.
Oh, absolutely.
You know how to edit it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So is there anything else you'd like to say about Promise Ranch?
My family is just forever grateful to Promise Ranch for everything that they have done for Cole and how it's helped him have an extracurricular activity that doesn't necessarily feel like therapy, but it's also served a very therapeutic purpose. And I just think that he's going to continue to carry this with him for the rest of his life. He loves horses, and it's because of Promise Ranch that he has found that passion.
Okay. I think that's it. I'll get a couple. Okay, could you talk about Cole's condition and the conditions of his study for the new drug?
Cole was born with a neuromuscular disorder called spinal muscular atrophy. And essentially the disease causes his muscles all over his body to be very weak. Cole has had the privilege of participating in a clinical drug trial for a drug called Spinraza, and it was approved and it's on the market now. And Cole has had 9 doses at this point, and he's doing very well.
And could you talk about the conditions of having to do this study?
In doing the clinical drug trial, Cole has had to go to a lot of appointments. They do a lot of testing and pull a lot of data as he's receiving these doses. And so he's definitely had to go above and beyond what a lot of children that do have his disease have done. But he has been a very obliging patient, very easy for them to work with, and we just feel very blessed that he's had an opportunity to be a part of such groundbreaking research.
And where's the research?
The study that Cole is participating in is being done at Children's Hospital of Colorado, and he's been participating in it for 2 years now.
Just about the same time as his horseback riding.
He started riding at Promise Ranch shortly after he started the clinical study.
Okay. And do you talk to the therapists there about Promise Ranch?
I have told many of the personnel at Children's Hospital of Colorado about Promise Ranch, and I'm glad that they're aware of it and can send other patients there for therapeutic services.
Okay. I think that's